My name is Kenny Dyal and I want to welcome you to the Scuba Diving channel. This channel is for anybody that is aquatically inclined or just aquatically curious. My next guest is Paul Shepherd, who traveled all the way from Zanzibar here to sunny Central Florida. Paul is a successful dive shop owner. He took a dive shop that was small and doubled its size, has a big staff, does big trips. Everybody loves coming here and talking to Paul, but he took time out of his day to sit down and give us some insight on how to be a successful dive shop owner and a successful dive business person, and the trick to still enjoy it. Definitely a lot to learn, especially if you're in the dive industry, from this interview. Paul, thanks for coming on the show.
No worries, thanks for having me.
What got you into scuba diving to begin with?
On holiday with my parents when I was 10 years old in Kenya, and saw these guys trying it in the pool and offering try dives and things, and I really wanted to do it. And at the time you had to be 12 to do it. Eventually I begged them into letting me do it, and my parents were quite happy to get rid of me for a bit. Jumped in and the guy went, "Wow, you're a natural. Come and join us and do the open water course." And I was like, okay. I didn't understand a word he said because he said it in German, and he spoke about 3 words of English and I spoke pretty much no German, but we managed to get through it. And I did my open water course when I was 10 years old in Kenya. So
how did you build up your arsenal of confidence to maybe one day open a dive shop?
I went to work in Fort Lauderdale for a bit, but at the time no one would sponsor me for a green card, so I left, went to work in Africa, and I ended up being a part owner of a dive shop in East Africa in Zanzibar for 11 years. The coolest thing about diving in Zanzibar is the lack of seeing other divers underwater, the pristine reefs.
So you knew what it was like to work in a dive shop. Do you think that's something that people should definitely know before they decide to do that?
It is a different world being in the diving industry. I've seen people come from the corporate world that are amazing business people, but the diving industry doesn't work for them. I've seen people come from other industries where diving fits perfectly for them.
You got to be willing to put some work in.
Yeah, there's a lot of work involved. So people see the glamour side of scuba diving, helping pretty young ladies into wetsuits sort of thing. It never happens. It's not reality.
You're helping me into a wetsuit, buddy.
Exactly. The reality is that you're working late at night to fill tanks so they're ready for the morning, and that next morning you're up at 6 o'clock loading tanks onto boats and things like that. And it's a passion. You've got to have a passion for it. You've got to love what you do.
And so you decided to find a dive shop that already existed, and it was half the size when you found it.
Yep. When we left Africa, we looked for 6 months. This one was a good business, being sold for the right reason. It was well run. It had a great clientele that seemed to love the shop. The previous owners were fantastic, and the handover was amazing between them. They actually stayed on for a month and helped us transition. I came from the resort environment where in Zanzibar, where we were doing lots of courses and lots of day dives and things like that, to more of a retail location. It took me a while to get used to that. They are actually quite different businesses. The clients come in for 5-6 days and then you don't see them ever again. Whereas here, it's working on the relationship and having clients come in and coming back all the time.
The handover. Sometimes clients don't like to come in and see new faces. How did you handle that, and what kind of problems did you run into? How did you solve those problems?
They introduced us to all their network, via email as well, and they gave me the foundation to build and expand on this place. So
did you run into any problems?
Within about 20 days of buying the shop, the compressor actually exploded on us, the filtration system. But again, working with the Blackburns and things, they came back in and helped me with it. You've got to be prepared. I would always say to people, don't spend your last penny on the business. Make sure you've got some contingency money.
What was the most important thing that you leaned on to make this a success?
People are coming to dive because they want to have fun, not because they want to be lectured, and that's what we're in the business of. We're in the business of selling fun. And it's got to be that experience from the moment they walk into the shop to the moment they leave the dive site or wherever. Find out what people are interested in. We've got so many different facets in diving. You want to cater to everyone, and you want to be able to talk to everyone and find out what they want and cater to their needs. My passion has become photography. I used to be a tech diver, and then I picked up a camera and I haven't looked back. Taking groups to a place where, you know, they've never been before. We've done trips to Komodo, we've done Antarctica, we've done Indonesia, we've done the Maldives, we do Africa every year. You've got to keep something going for you, that is something to look forward to all the time. And that always gives me a light at the end of the tunnel because, hey, not every day's rosy.
How do you define success?
Money has a big part of it. The business has to be successful in that sense. But the enjoyment factor, when you know you've got customers coming back all the time because they're having a great time, that's important. You know, when you can develop your business, you talked about us expanding the business and expanding the size of the shop. That was quite daunting. That was a massive undertaking and things. We physically doubled the size of the shop and doubled the rent and all these stresses that come with it. It was so rewarding when it worked, and it was the right thing to do.
What is a recipe for success for setting up your training structure?
So having a wide range of courses is very, very important. I'm lucky. I actually can teach for 7 different agencies. They're all the same. Okay. Ultimately, they all do the same job. When we're disparaging other divers, all we're doing is putting ourselves down. It makes no sense at all. We're a tiny little industry in a big world, and all we need to do is build this industry and develop the size of our industry and things by getting more divers in. So I don't care whether you're trained through NAUI, PADI, SDI, TDI, whatever. If you're a diver, you're a diver. So come and do the next level with me. Come and do a dive trip with me. And that's something I drum into all my team. It doesn't matter where they got trained.
What should every dive shop out there that you see, they want to grow, what should they just stop doing right now?
Fighting with the other dive shops, competing with the other dive shops. Their competition is not the other dive shops. Competition is not another agency in diving. Competition is golf, it's paddleboarding, it's any activity where people can spend their money other than diving. The diving industry amongst itself is not competition to itself. All we're doing in the industry is growing the number of divers. That's the most important thing. So whether you go and get certified with another dive shop down the street or an independent instructor, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, you're still a potential client. You don't know who they got certified with. You don't know if they're good friends with that person. And if you say something negative about that person, that could put their front up and get them upset.
And you just mentioned independent instructors. Do you feel like they help or hurt your shop?
They grow the industry, so they're helping the shop. I mean, it's as simple as that. Do they possibly take some classes away from me? Yeah, probably. But do they probably send more finances to me in terms of retail? Absolutely. I've got a group of independent instructors that work through the shop. They're developing their business and as an independent instructor, and they're still using me.
How do you keep your in-house instructors excited, loyal, having fun? You know, how do you keep them happy?
The biggest challenge with any business is staff, obviously. They change up courses and things like that, so I'm frequently getting them to teach different classes if they want to, and encouraging them to teach specialties or something different, lead a dive somewhere, go and have fun.
What specifically right now are you looking forward to?
So seeing all these new fresh faces, I mean, that's one of the biggest joys is seeing these new divers after they breathe their first breath underwater and they get comfortable underwater.
Where do you see yourself? You're 41 now, when you're 65.
Retired on an island, enjoying life.
For real? That's the real story?
Yeah, I'll be still diving, but maybe owning a dive shop on an island.
Paul, thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Yeah. If you want the full-length, uncensored interview, go to sweetwaterscuba.com.